Good day and welcome to our show for today. We're glad you could join us today as it is the last edition in the month of August. As usual on Political Spectrum, we help you make sense of major developments and events in our nation's polity and political economy. Political Spectrum comes to you live from Uyo, the state's capital, and I remain yours sincerely, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun. Now, our conversations continue on everyday political and economic developments in Nigeria and sometimes even beyond. But first, on President Bola Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is 31st, Thursday, 2023, and it marks exactly 95 days of President Bola Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which now leaves 5 days to his first 100 days in office. That is now 3 months and 4 days as we gradually get closer to his first 100 days in office. All right, we begin in Gabon as Tinubu reacts to situation in Gabon. President Tinubu has expressed his deep concern over the political situation in Gabon and the status of socio-political stability, or you could call it instability, in that country. This is coming hours after Gabonese army officers under the aegis of the Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions announced on national television they had overthrown the government of Gabonese President Ali Bongo Ondimba, who has been in power for 14 years. Hours after he had been declared the victor in Saturday's election. Gabonese military officers appeared on television Wednesday announcing that they were putting an end to the current regime and cancelling an election that, according to the official results, President Ali Bongo Ondimba won again. The special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, while speaking with State House correspondents, expressed today's belief that the rule of law and faithful recourse to the constitutional resolution of electoral disputes must not be allowed to perish in Africa. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is watching developments in Gabon very closely, with deep concerns for the country's social-political stability and the seeming autocratic contagion apparently spreading across different regions of our beloved country, he said. The president, as a man who made the significant personal sacrifices in his own life in the course of advancing and defending democracy, has all of the unwavering belief that power belongs in the hands of Africa's great people and not in the barrel of a loaded gun. Ngelale added that Tinubu affirmed that the rule of law and a faithful recourse to constitutional resolution and instruments of electoral dispute resolution must not at any time be allowed to perish from our great continent. Now, according to him, the president is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union towards a comprehensive consensus on the next step forward with respect to how the crisis in Gabon will play out into how the continent will respond to the contagion of autocracy we are seeing spread across our continent. Now, let's watch the videos briefly.
That the rule of law and a faithful recourse to constitutional resolutions and instruments of electoral dispute resolution must not at any time be allowed to perish from our great continent. To this end, the President is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union toward a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward with respect to how the crisis in Gabon will play out into how the continent will respond to the contagion of autocracy we are seeing spread across our continent.
All right, away from that story, President Tinubu's approval rating drops in the second month as concerns about economy grow, and that report is from a survey. Now, the approval rating of President Bola Tinubu dropped from 45% to 35% in the second month of his administration. Now, according to a survey, the second monthly presidential satisfaction and governance survey, which was conducted by the Governance Advancement Initiative for Nigeria, also known as GAIN, shows that 35% rated the performance of the president as satisfactory, with 8% of them rating his performance as excellent, down from 15% the previous month. According to the survey, 11% rated it as good, down from 15% the previous month, and a further 16% rated it as average, slightly from 15% the previous month. The survey was administered from July 29 to August 6, 2023, and is aimed at tracking the sentiments of the Nigerian people regarding the initiatives and policies of the Tinubu administration and providing the unadulterated views of the Nigerian public to their elected officials. Now, according to Dr. Malcolm Fabiyi, who coordinates GAIN, the survey was targeted at Nigerians of voting age. Now, GAIN said over 540 responses were received, providing a margin of error of just plus or minus 4.2 at a 95% confidence level. It noted that 68.5% of respondents indicated that they voted in 2023 presidential elections, while 51.1% indicated that they had no political party affiliations. Respondents were drawn from across all 6 geopolitical zones, both in terms of their places of origin and their locations of residence. The organizers said respondents were provided with 5 scale questions about their rating of President Tinubu's first 2 months in office. They were provided with an option of responses ranging from 1, excellent, 2, good, 3, average, or poor. Then finally, very poor. Only one of these options could be selected by the respondents. Now, the survey shows that there were mixed views amongst Nigerians regarding the policies of Tinubu's administration. Now, GAIN said respondents were presented with a list of 10 national priorities drawn from the manifesto of the ruling All Progressives, as well as policy pronouncements that have been made by the administration regarding the economy. Respondents were provided with 5 statements to express their views about the economy, and they were required to select one of the options. According to the poll results, 44.2% are very concerned about the economy. 30.2% picked nothing is being done to create jobs. 12.71% said they were optimistic about the economy, and 10.13% said they were positive about the economy. Only 2.7% of respondents said they saw encouraging signs for jobs and employment. When asked for their views on what they believe a fair and sustainable minimum wage should be, a clear majority of 99% indicated that at least it should be at above 50,000 naira per month. Now watch this part. 84% indicated that it should be at least 100,000 per month. 47% indicated that it should at least be 150,000 per month minimum wage, and 30% indicated that it should be at least 200,000 per month. Anyway, that's that about the rating of Tinubu. We'll move to the next story. Exposed: the full details of Minister Hannatu Musawa and NYSC. And I'll run through this briefly. A few more facts have emerged about the National Youth Service Corps NYSC status of the Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa. Now, Ms. Musawa has for weeks been in the eye of the storm for failing during her confirmation hearing at the Nigerian Senate to provide evidence that she participated in the mandatory National Youth Service Program after her graduation from the university. That controversy deepened in the past days following the disclosure by the NYSC that the minister is currently undergoing her National Youth Service, sparking calls by her critics that she should vacate office as soon as possible. But we can authoritatively report that Ms. Musawa's National Service saga has a longer history and is far from complicated, far more complicated than it is publicly known. There are revelations that Ms. Musawa and NYSC authorities had battled for at least 3 years over her real NYSC status and a withheld certificate. While the lawyer claimed she completed her national service in 2003 and should be issued the withheld certificate, the NYSC claimed she absconded midway into her service after the years long back and forth failed to produce results. Ms. Musawa then opted to be remobilized to serve out whatever period of time the NYSC believes is outstanding for her. Well, the minister's NYSC story has been back and forth, while critics are of the opinion that she must be relieved of her ministerial appointments with immediate effect. Now, before we go on a break, let's quickly also revisit the article story about trying to mock President Tinubu on his school academic records and certificates, also with schools attended. Now, let's quickly run through the story. Atiku goes to U.S. court and mocks Tinubu. Now, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP has mocked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his tweet on Sunday, asking him to reveal how he obtained a degree from Chicago University without attending primary and secondary school. He is asking him to enlighten Nigerians on the matter. The former vice president, who is challenging Mr. Tinubu's victory before the presidential election, claimed he attended St. John to the children homeschool Ibadan. According to him, his next port of call in his educational journey was Government College Ibadan and Richard Daley College and then Chicago State University in the United States. Curiously, in 2023, Tinubu settled with attending only Chicago State University. Mr. Atiku's tweet has now sparked widespread reaction, seeing the hashtag #AskTinubu trend on X, Twitter, also known as X, app on Sunday, as Nigerians discuss Mr. Tinubu's academic records. Now, earlier in August, Mr. Abubakar requested court approval to subpoena Mr. Tinubu's files domiciled with CSU because he believed the documents will clarify glaring inconsistencies in Mr. Tinubu's background, including publicly available documents that suggested the Chicago State University in 1970s admitted a female student bearing Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was born on March 29, 1954. Now, in response to Atiku's application, Chicago State University agreed to release Tinubu's credentials once the court issues the order. In a statement dated August 23 by the university and signed by the university's council, the university noted that once they get an order from the court, the academic records of Bola Tinubu will be released. Now, the court then gave Tinubu until 30th of August to answer why his academic credentials should not be released to Atiku on August 23. Now, President Tinubu, in his response to Atiku's suit, asked CSU not to release his academic credentials to PDP because, according to him, the case at the PDP had closed and his credentials are not relevant to the suit. Responding to Tinubu's statement in the U.S. court, Atiku's counsel, Angela Liu, who already submitted a 24-paragraph declaration in support of the application pursuant to 28 University SC 1782 for an order granting leave to serve the subpoenas to CSU, said, and I quote, "How can you have two certificates issued by the same university to the same person for the same course of study, but issued on different dates and signed by two different people?" Meanwhile, media also reported that Mr. Tinubu filed a motion to prevent a federal court in the United States from releasing his university academic records to Mr. Abubakar, his principal opponent in the 2023 presidential election. Mr. Tinubu had also implicated a clerk at Chicago State University as responsible for irregularities that characterized a certificate the school reprinted in his name, according to the new court filings. All right, we'll go on a short break. Thereafter, we'll introduce my guest who will be joining us virtually from Abuja, the ongoing Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference. Stay tuned. Join us again.
I'm Ali Bongo Ondimba, President of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise, For the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence. And nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise,
Military officers announced Wednesday morning that they were overturning the government in an apparent coup.
The President affirms that the rule of law and a faithful recourse to constitutional resolutions and instruments of electoral dispute resolution must not at any time be allowed to perish from our great continent. To this end, the President is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union toward a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward with respect to how the crisis in Gabon will play out, into how the continent will respond to the contagion of autocracy we are seeing spread across our continent.
All right, many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back on the show. It's Political Spectrum. Real quick, I'll be introducing my guest joining us virtually from MKO Abiola Stadium in Abuja. He's attending the NBA conference, annual conference. I introduce to you Mr. Liboros Oshoma, Esquire. He's a practicing lawyer, a social crusade activist, and public policy analyst. Mr. Oshoma, good morning to you, sir. Good morning, sir. Liboros, can you hear me? Good morning. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Please nod if you can hear me. Okay, check if your volume is muted. If it's muted, please let's know. Mr. Liboros, check your device if the volume is muted. All right, we'll go on a short break. We'll try and resolve the issues there. We'll get back to you in a second. Join us again. All right, many thanks for staying tuned. We're back. Barrister Liboros Oshoma is back with us. He's a social crusader and activist and a public policy analyst. Barrister Liboros, how are you doing? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Liboros, please.
Congratulations to the NBA for successfully holding its 63rd annual General Conference in Abuja this year. And this year's theme is tagged Getting It Right, charting the course for Nigeria, nation building. How is the event going so far?
Yeah, the event is going on well, but I think it is more like a meet and greet for most lawyers in Nigeria, because you find out that every year lawyers like this gather, will talk, and at the end of the day, the talk does not really end into, concrete action. And sometimes when issues go wrong, NBA issues press releases, statements, and it ends at that level. So the drive for public interest litigation is no more there. Also, considering the fact that successive government has, in most cases, refused to obey court orders, encouraged by a member of the bar, the attorney generals, and so young lawyers coming up, just see this MBA now as an opportunity to come meet and greet old classmates they have not seen for years. And why a few actually participate in the conference, discussions per se. But by and large, I think there should be a paradigm shift to the approach, and there should be action to the political talks and the symposiums and breakout sections. There should be structures in place to ensure that those words are put to action. So once that is done, then the NBA will bring back that bite that it had in the days of Alawa Kabashon and now people, because of political interests too, opinions are divided on and every action taken by NBA now. A lot of opinions are divided, and people, see some people will condemn, some will endorse. A situation where NBA once called for, boycotts of courts, over the unceremonious and the unconstitutional removal of a sitting CGN, Onoge, and even some senior lawyers refuse to obey. Also, situations where NBA, called for the sanctioning of senior advocates over what they term soliciting for briefs. If he was a junior, I know definitely, certainly he would have been roasted. But
definitely,
we saw lawyers divided. Also, where anytime there is a political issue, like the Abuja to Todd and all of those issues, you see lawyers divided. And certainly because lawyers are also not unanimous on a lot of issues. And then there are no parameters for actually gauging which one is, which side weighs more. And because also some of them, especially senior lawyers, are driven more by, the pecuniary gains for briefs and the rush for election petitions. So all of this, the junior ones are watching and they're seeing these things happen, coupled with the fact that the judiciary also, in some cases, have not helped itself. So that's why you see now it is more like, let's go for NBA the conference, use the opportunity to see old friends, walk around, partying, and But apart from chatting in new calls and discussing, NBA also should play a very strong role to force the hand of the politicians.
All right, you've laid the background. One of the things I picked very, very sternly was that lawyers are divided. Ideally, because of pluralism of ideas and because it's an intelligent community, very highly intelligent. Do you think it's odd that lawyers could be divided over an opinion at some point?
No. Lawyers ordinarily ought to be divided, so that I'm not quoted wrongly.
Okay.
Lawyers ordinarily ought to be divided on issues because people see things from different perspectives.
That is true.
But the issue of divide, when politics becomes the ground for division and monetary and pecuniary gain becomes the grounds for division, then there is a problem. That's where the issue is. There are some issues that are obvious and very clear, and where you see lawyers begin to stand logic on its head because of their political leaning or because of pecuniary gain, and So, law ordinarily is a vehicle for social engineering.
True.
And that's why people say lawyers are learned. And issues that are clear and should forge a direction, where you now see people begin to say, hypothetically speaking, and you hear all of those, English and grammar. That's where people, begin to wonder if truly these issues, lawyers are not being, necessarily divided, and that they should ordinarily forge an opinion, forge a headway. Let me give you an instance, for example. On this Abuja issue, it is very clear that votes, there are no superior votes. Nowhere in the world do you have superior votes, except you are practicing an electoral college. So in this case, I didn't expect lawyers, senior lawyers for that matter, to begin to throw spanners in the work to say they want to test the law. Testing the law, you're creating confusion. Votes are equal.
True.
So there is no votes that is superior to the other. But when lawyers intentionally now throw, spanners in the work to create division, and everybody is debating it, and then you now see them arguing, and then they collect money, money to go, push those arguments in court. It becomes certain that this is not just about intellectual division, but division for pecuniary gain and sentiment or political gains. So that's the kind of division I'm talking about.
Very, very clear. All right. Like the current NBA, President Yakubu Ochonoko, Michael, had said, the conference is centered around 3 thematic areas: security, economy, and the administration of justice. Now, speaking of administration of justice, where are we in Nigeria? And, how do we get things better?
Yeah, every year, every team of lawyers would definitely, one way or the other, would, either free or delve into or stray, or coincidentally must talk about administration of justice.
True.
We say windmill of justice grinds slowly but surely, but we forget that justice delayed is justice denied. And so if you say the windmill of justice, if you're happy that is grinding slowly, is conservative, is grinding slowly, how about the other dictum that says, when you delay the windmill of justice, you are denying this. So every day we see, this windmill of justice being delayed intentionally by senior lawyers who will come to the conference to speak about this dispensation and administration of justice. The Administration of Justice Act was passed in 2015, and with beautiful sections and novel ideas. How well has the lawyers, in these various fields also helped in enhancing that those beautiful provisions? There are instruments and infrastructures in place, by compelling the executive, if possible, public interest litigation to ensure that, for example, investigation is speedily done and sparkling clean done. The T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, to avoid a situation where you go to court and make a mockery of yourself. So how well have we done that? How well have we also ensured that the courts are enough to ensure that the dispensation of justice is quick and timely? Now you have a lot of cases in Lagos, federal high courts in Lagos and Abuja. The more the population, the more the cases. But yet you still have the same number of judges, in these places. So what are we doing to ensure that these judges, the numbers are increased? Gone are the days in the 70s where a judge will start a trial on Monday and deliver judgment on Friday. Gone are the days in the 80s, in the 79, 83 election petition tribunals, where governorship election petition tribunals will start trial on Monday, and by Sunday, judgment is delivered. If you remember the case of Justice Orojo in Ondo State Election Petition Tribunal, between Omobore and Jasin, that tribunal started sitting on a Monday. By Sunday, judgment has been delivered. So, but today, because you have, more petitions, every election now is contested.
Yeah.
There are no enough hands to handle because the judges are fewer. And they will tell you the money is not enough, the fund is not enough. So how well is there that collaboration and synergy between the attorney generals and the government that they advise to ensure that you have enough, apart from just saying, let us give more budget to the judiciary. What also are we doing? How are judges these days appointed? In collaboration with the same people that are talking about administration of justice. The bearer is from me. Please interview and employ. You find that recently Professor Chidi Odikalu petitioned the NJC on the appointment of judges and what happened to the matter. So at the end, these are the people that will still gather and begin